Story. Many years ago, in the village of Umobia, there lived a beautiful girl named Adana. Adana was the kind of girl that made people forget what they were about to say. Her skin was so smooth, you'd think she bathed in shea butter and prayers. Her smile could make a grumpy old man suddenly remember he had teeth. Even the goats in the village would pause their bleating just to stare when she walked past. But Adana wasn't one of those girls who knew she was fine and used it to torment people. No, she was humble. The kind of humble that made mothers say, "Why can't you be like Adana?" to their own daughters, which of course made those daughters hate Adana a little bit. She helped her mother sell vegetables at the market. She fetched water without forming like her back was made of glass. She greeted elders properly with the full knee bend and hand clap combo that showed she had home training. Her life was simple. Wake up, help mama, sell tomatoes, come home, sleep, repeat. And Adana, she was fine with it. Well, she was fine with it until the day Ngozi came back from Lagos. It was a Saturday afternoon. The sun was doing its usual wickedness, roasting everyone like suya. Adana was arranging tomatoes in a basket when she heard a voice that sounded vaguely familiar, but also different. "Adana! Adana! Girl, is that you?" She turned around and nearly dropped her entire basket. Standing there was Ngozi. But this was not the Ngozi who left Umobia 3 years ago, wearing slippers that were holding on for dear life. This Ngozi looked like she had been dipped in success sauce and deep fried in prosperity oil. Her hair was long and wavy, flowing down her back like she was in a shampoo commercial. Her nails, chai, her nails were so long and shiny, they could probably be used as weapons. She wore a tight yellow dress that was screaming, "I cost money!" And her perfume arrived 5 minutes before she did. "Ngozi?" Adana's mouth was hanging open so wide, a fly could have thrown a party inside. Is that you?" Ngozi laughed, a laugh that sounded like she'd been practicing it in front of a mirror with background music. "Yes now, it's me. You didn't recognize your own friend?" She did a little spin like she was on a runway. Adana half expected photographers to appear from nowhere. "Wow," Adana breathed. You look like money grew legs and became a person." Ngozi laughed again, flipping her hair. "Ah, Adana, you and your mouth. But thank you, oh. Lagos has been very good to me, very good." Adana blinked. The last time she saw Ngozi, they were both wearing the same faded wrapper and arguing about whose turn it was to sweep the compound. Now Ngozi looked like she owned the compound, the broom, and the person sweeping. Adana's mother looked up from her own tomato stand. "Ngozi, look at you. You've blown all." "Good afternoon, Mama." Ngozi bent down respectfully. At least her manners were still intact. "Thank you, Mama. God has been faithful." "Very faithful indeed," Mama said, smiling. "Adana, close the shop early today. Go and gist with your friend. You people haven't seen each other in so long." Adana's eyes lit up like someone who just remembered there was jollof rice at home. "Really, Mama?" "Yes, go. I'll manage here." And just like that, Adana abandoned her tomatoes faster than you could say, "Legos, big girl." They sat under the big mango tree, the same tree where they used to play as children and pretend sticks were dolls. But now, instead of playing, they were talking. Or rather, Ngozi was talking, and Adana was listening with her mouth open like a fish trying to understand mathematics. Adana, let me tell you, Ngozi said, leaning back against the tree trunk like she was in a movie. Lagos is sweet. The clubs, the parties, the restaurants, everywhere you turn, there's enjoyment. And the men? She kissed her teeth. The men are plenty, and they have money, real money, not like these village boys that will give you 500 naira and think they've bought you a house. Adana giggled. Seriously? They are that rich? Rich? Ngozi's eyes widened. My sister, some of them will just look at you and send you 50,000 naira. Just like that. No stress, no wahala. Adana's brain did a quick calculation. 50,000 naira? That was more than her mother made selling tomatoes for 3 whole months. Her head was spinning like a ceiling fan on high speed. But why would they just give you money like that? Adana asked, genuinely confused. Ngozi looked at her like she just asked why the sky was blue. Because they like you now. They want to impress you. They want your time, your attention. And if you're sharp, she tapped the side of her head with one long red fingernail. You make sure they keep giving. How do you do that? Ngozi leaned in closer, like she was about to reveal where the government hid all the good roads. Listen carefully, she said. You cannot, I repeat, you cannot have just one boyfriend. Adana frowned. Why not? Because one man cannot handle everything now. You need to be strategic. One man buys you food. Another one pays for your hair. Another one handles your nails and pedicure. Another one gives you transport money. Another one is for emergencies. In case something urgent comes up. You see, you share the responsibility. Nobody is carrying too much load. And you, she pointed at Adana with a grin. You are living your best life. Adana was quiet, trying to process this information. It sounded wrong, like very wrong, but at the same time, Ngozi looked so happy, so confident, so successful. Wait, Adana said slowly. So you have multiple boyfriends? Of course. Ngozi said it like it was the most normal thing in the world. How else do you think I'm looking like this? You think one man bought all these things? She gestured at her dress, her hair, her everything. My sister, it takes a whole team. Adana couldn't help herself. She burst out laughing. A team? Yes. Ngozi was laughing too. A full squad, like a football team. But instead of scoring goals, they are scoring points with me. They laughed until their stomachs hurt, and the mango tree probably wondered what was so funny. But when the laughter faded, Adana felt something stir inside her chest. Something small but dangerous, like a tiny seed that had just been planted. She looked down at her faded dress and her slippers that were begging for retirement. She thought about her life, waking up at 5 a.m. every day, selling tomatoes in the hot sun, going to bed smelling like onions, and disappointment. Then she looked at Ngozi, glowing, glamorous, free. Ngozi, Adana said quietly, do you think, is there any chance? Could I maybe come with you to Lagos? Ngozi's whole face lit up like Christmas lights. Ah, I was waiting for you to ask. I thought you'd never ask. Of course you can come. In fact, that's part of why I came back. To see if you wanted to join me. Lagos needs more girls like you. Fresh, beautiful, village girls that the men will go crazy for. Really? Adana's heart was doing somersaults. You think they like me? Like you? Ngozi looked at her like she was joking. Adana, you're fine. Like properly fine. You shake Lagos. You shake it so hard it will forget its own name. Trust me. Adana bit her lip. But what about Mama? What will I tell her? Ngozi waved her hand like she was swatting a mosquito. Tell her you're going to find work. Tell her you want a better life. She'll understand. In fact, when you start sending her money, plenty money, she'll even thank you. She might even start bragging to the other women that her daughter is in Lagos doing big things. Adana thought about it. Mama's back was getting worse from bending over tomatoes all day. Her wrapper was so old, it had probably seen 3 different governments. If Adana could go to Lagos and make money, real money, she could help Mama. She could build her a better house. She could make her proud. Okay, Adana said, her voice steady. I'll come. Ngozi clapped her hands so loud. 2 birds flew out of the tree in panic. Yes, that's my girl. Ah, Adana, you won't regret this. We're going to have so much fun. And you're going to make so much money your head will spin. 1 week later, Adana stood at the bus stop with 1 small bag and a heart full of dreams. Her mother was crying the way mothers cry when they know something but don't want to say it. Adana, my daughter, Mama said, holding both of Adana's hands like she was trying to download wisdom through touch. Lagos is not like here. People there, they are different. Please don't follow bad people. Don't do bad things. Remember who you are. Remember where you come from. I will, Mama, Adana said, hugging her tight. I promise. I'm going to make you so proud. You'll see. Mama kissed her forehead, her tears soaking into Adana's hair. Go well, my child. May God cover you with his protection. From inside the bus, Ngozi was waving frantically like she was flagging down a rescue helicopter. Adana, we're about to leave, come on. Adana climbed into the bus and sat next to Ngozi. As the bus started moving, she looked back through the window. Her mother was standing there, alone, getting smaller and smaller, until she was just a tiny dot on the road. Adana didn't know it then, but that image, her mother standing alone, crying, would haunt her for the rest of her life. When the bus finally rolled into Lagos, Adana's brain nearly short-circuited. The noise was like someone had taken every sound in the world, put it in a blender, and pressed maximum chaos. Cars were honking like they were having a shouting competition. People were yelling. Buses were screaming. Even the air felt loud. Welcome to Lagos, Ngozi said cheerfully, like she was a tour guide, where you either move fast or get left behind. Adana was too stunned to respond. In Umobia, the loudest thing was the rooster at 5 a.m. Here was like that rooster got a microphone and a DJ set. Ngozi's apartment was in Lekki, a place that sounded like a sneeze but was apparently very fancy. The buildings were tall. The roads were mostly smooth. Some houses even had gates that opened by themselves, like they had been to university. We're here, Ngozi announced as they climbed the stairs to the 2nd floor. She opened the door and Adana stepped inside. The apartment was small, 1 bedroom, tiny kitchen, bathroom with actual running water. But to Adana, it looked like Buckingham Palace. This is beautiful, Adana whispered, touching the wall like it might disappear. Ngozi left. Beautiful. This is just our base. Wait until you see the places the men will take you. Hotels with beds so soft, you think you're sleeping on clouds that went to heaven. That evening, Ngozi flung open her wardrobe and Adana's eyes nearly fell out of her head. Dresses, shoes, Bags, perfumes, jewelry, makeup. It looked like a boutique had exploded and decided to live in Ngozi's closet. Pick anything you want, Ngozi said casually, like she was offering her water. Anything? Adana could barely breathe. Yes, we're going out tonight. Out? Where? To a club, there's a party. Big boys will be there. Ngozi pulled out a red dress that looked like it was made from pure audacity. And you, my dear, need to start making connections. Adana's stomach did a nervous flip. I I don't know, Ngozi. I've never been to a club before. What if I mess up? What if I don't know what to do? That's exactly why I'm taking you, Ngozi said, holding up the dress. I'll teach you everything. Now wear this. It will make you look like $1 million. Actually, scratch that. $2 million. 2 hours later, Adana stood in front of the mirror and didn't recognize the person staring back. The red dress was so tight, it was having a personal conversation with every curve on her body. Her face was beat. Foundation, eyeliner, lipstick, everything. Her hair was styled in soft curls that made her look like she just stepped out of a magazine. She looked expensive, like the kind of expensive that comes with a receipt you don't ask questions about. See, Ngozi said, standing beside her with a satisfied grin. You look like money. The men are going to lose their minds. Adana stared at herself. She barely looked like the village girl who sold tomatoes. She looked like someone who bought tomatoes and paid someone else to carry them. Let's go scatter Lagos, Ngozi said, grabbing her purse. The club was chaos. Music was blasting so loud, Adana could feel it vibrating in her chest. Lights were flashing. Red, blue, purple, green, like someone was having a fight with a rainbow. People were everywhere, dancing, drinking, laughing, shouting. Adana felt like she'd been dropped into a different dimension. Stay close, Ngozi shouted over the music, pulling her by the hand. They found a table in the corner and sat down. Adana was still trying to process everything when a waiter appeared with a bottle of champagne. Compliments of the gentleman over there, the waiter said, pointing across the room. Adana looked. A man in a crisp white shirt and designer watch that probably cost more than her entire village, was smiling at them and raising his glass. Ngozi waved and giggled. Then she leaned over to Adana. You see, I told you it has started. The man walked over. He moved like he owned the club. Maybe he did. Good evening, beautiful ladies, he said. His voice was smooth like honey that had been to finishing school. I'm Emeka. And you are? I'm Ngozi, Ngozi said sweetly. And this is my friend Adana. Emeka's eyes locked onto Adana like a heat-seeking missile. Adana. That's a beautiful name. Almost as beautiful as you. Adana felt her face get hot. Thank you. First time here? Emeka asked, sitting down like he'd been invited. Yes, Adana admitted. I can tell, he said with a smile. You have that fresh look. Not like these other Lagos girls who look like they've seen everything 3 times. You're different. Under the table, Ngozi kicked Adana's leg. He likes you, her eyes screamed. Don't mess this up. They talked for over an hour. Emeka was charming, funny, rich, very rich. He owned a tech company. He drove a Range Rover that probably had its own driver. He traveled to Dubai so often. His passport was considering retiring. And he was very interested in Adana. When the night was winding down, Emeka pulled out his phone. Can I have your number? I'd love to take you out. Somewhere nice. Just the two of us. Adana hesitated for half a second. but Ngozi was nodding so aggressively her head looked like it might fall off. Okay, Adana said, giving him a number. Emeka smiled, a smile that probably made other women faint. I'll call you tomorrow. Sleep well, Adana. When he left, Ngozi grabbed Adana's arm so hard she nearly lost circulation. Do you know who that is? Ngozi screamed. Emeka is loaded. Like seriously loaded. His money has money. You just won the lottery on your first night. Adana smiled, but her stomach was doing backflips, cartwheels, and somersaults all at once. What have I gotten myself into, she thought. But the excitement was louder than the fear. Emeka called the next day, and the day after, and the day after that. He took Adana to restaurants where one plate of food cost 15,000 naira. Adana nearly choked when she saw the menu. Back home, 15,000 naira could feed her entire family for 2 weeks. Here, it bought you rice and chicken that came with a fancy name she couldn't pronounce. He bought her clothes, shoes, bags. He sent her money, 20,000 naira here, 30,000 naira there, sometimes 50,000 naira, just because it was Wednesday. Adana felt like she was living in a Nollywood movie where she was the star and poverty was the villain that got defeated in the first scene. But one evening, Ngozi sat her down with that face. The face that meant we need to talk and you're not going to like it. Adana, we need to have a conversation. They sat on the bed. Ngozi looked serious, like a professor about to teach a very important lesson. You're doing well with Emeka, Ngozi started. He likes you. He's spending money on you. That's good. But she paused for dramatic effect. You're making a big mistake. Adana frowned. What mistake? You're putting all your eggs in one basket. And that basket, it has a hole in it. What do you mean? Ngozi sighed like she was explaining addition to someone who should already know calculus. Emeka is great. But what if he wakes up tomorrow and decides he's bored? What if he meets another girl? What if he stops giving you money? Then what? You'll be back to square one, selling tomatoes in your mind. But he really likes me, Adana said. He said so. Adana. Ngozi put her hand on Adana's shoulder. All of them say that. That's what men do. They say sweet things until the sweetness runs out. You need to be smart. You need the backup generators. Backup generators. Yes, backup. You can't rely on one man to do everything. Let me break it down for you. Ngozi started counting on her fingers. One man handles your food budget. Another man pays for your hair because hair is expensive. And one man's pocket will cry if he's doing it alone. Another man covers your nails and pedicure. Another man is for clothes and shoes. Another man is your emergency fund. Because life is full of surprises and not the good kind. Adana was quiet, her brain trying to process this information like a computer with slow internet. You see, Ngozi continued, you spread the work. That way, no one man is carrying the whole load. And you, she grinned, you are living stress-free. But isn't that wrong? Adana's voice was small. Wrong? Ngozi laughed. Who told you it's wrong? Adana, are you married to Emeka? No. Are you engaged? No. Then what are you being loyal to? Listen, this is Lagos. If you don't wise up, Lagos will chew you and spit you out like bitter cola. I'm telling you this because you're my friend. I don't want you to suffer. Adana looked at Ngozi. At her confidence, her glow, her success, and that small seed that had been planted back in the village, it started to grow. Okay, Adana said finally. What do I do? Ngozi clapped her hands. Now we're talking. Don't worry. I'll teach you everything. And teach her. She did 2 weeks later. Adana met Chidi at a lounge. He was a banker, clean-cut, well-spoken, the kind of guy who ironed his shirts with military precision. He took her on coffee dates and sent her airtime credit like he was trying to keep MTN in business single-handedly. Then she met Kunle at a birthday party. He worked in real estate and had the kind of money that made him forget what budget meant. He paid for her hair appointments without blinking. Then Tunde, a businessman whose entire personality was I have investments. He handled her nails, skincare and spa treatments. Then Femi, son of a politician, which meant he had the kind of money that didn't ask questions. He was her emergency fund, the guy she called when she needed cash fast and didn't want to explain why. Before Adana knew it, she had 5 boyfriends. 5. Her phone was ringing more than a call center. Her calendar looked like a military operation. Monday was Emeka. Tuesday was Chidi. Wednesday was Kunle, Thursday was Tunde. Friday was Femi. Weekends were flexible depending on who was offering the best deal. And the money? The money was flowing like a river that had forgotten how to stop. She sent 50,000 naira to her mother every month. Mama cried on the phone every time. Adana, my daughter, God has blessed you. I'm so proud. You're doing so well. Adana felt a tiny pang of guilt, but she swallowed it like bad medicine. I'm helping Mama, she told herself. That's what matters. One evening, her phone rang. It was Pius. Pius was different. He wasn't flashy. He didn't drive a Range Rover. He was just a regular banker who earned 300,000 naira a month and thought that was enough to build a life on sweet guy. Naive guy. Broke guy. They met at a restaurant. Nothing fancy. Just a local spot with good pepper soup and reasonable prices. Adana, Pio said, looking at her with eyes so honest, it was almost painful. I really like you. Like, really, really like you. I've been thinking, I want us to be serious. I want to marry you. Adana almost inhaled her drink through her nose. Marry? She choked out. Yes. Pius reached across the table and took her hand like he was in a romantic movie. I know I'm not the richest guy I know. I don't have a fancy car or a big house, but I have a good job. I can take care of you. We can build something together. Something real. Adana looked at him, at his hopeful smile, his clean shirt, his honest eyes. And then her brain did the math. 300,000 naira a month. That was less than what she spent on skincare in a month. Her hair alone cost 50,000 naira every 2 weeks. Her nails, another 30,000 naira. Her rent, 500,000 naira a year. Pius's entire salary would disappear faster than free food at a Nigerian party. She pulled her hand away gently. Well, as gently as you can when you're about to crush someone's dreams. Pius, she said, trying to sound kind, but coming off like a budget analyst. You're a nice guy, really, but your salary can barely cover my skincare routine. How are you going to take care of a whole wife? Pius blinked. Skincare? Yes, skincare. And that's just one thing. What about hair, nails, clothes, rent, food, transport? She was counting on her fingers now, like she was presenting a quarterly report. I'm sorry, but I can't suffer. I didn't come to Lagos to suffer. Pius stared at her for a long moment. His face went from hopeful to confused to sad, the kind of sad that sits heavy in your chest. "I see," he said quietly, standing up. "I thought you were different, Adana. I really did. I guess I was wrong." He walked out of the restaurant, and Adana watched him go. For a moment, just a tiny moment, something pinched in her chest, but she pushed it away. "He'll be fine," she thought, "and so will I." 6 months passed. Adana was no longer that shy village girl who didn't know what a club was. She was now Adana, the big girl, the one people whispered about at parties, the one whose Instagram post got hundreds of likes before she even finished typing the caption. Her wardrobe looked like it had swallowed a boutique. Her phone was always ringing. Her makeup bag cost more than some people's monthly salary. She was living. When she went back to Umobia, twice, both times, like a conquering hero returning from war, people stopped what they were doing to stare. Is that Adana?" the women whispered, shielding their eyes from the sheer glow radiating off her. "Chai, she has blown, oh," another one said. "Look at her shoes. Those shoes are speaking English." Children followed her around like she was the Pied Piper, except instead of a flute, she had designer bags. Young girls practically formed a committee to ask her questions. Sister Adana, how did you do it? How did you become big girl? Teach us the way." Adana would smile. "I'm successful and I know it," smile, and say something vague like, "Work hard, stay focused, God will bless you." She left out the part about the 5 boyfriends. Some information is not for public consumption. Even the elders were impressed. "Ah, our daughter has done well," they said, nodding approvingly. "She's the pride of Umuobia. We knew she would make it." Her mother hugged her so tight. Adana thought her ribs might file a complaint. "My daughter," Mama said, tears running down her face like she'd won the lottery. "I'm so proud of you. Look at you. So beautiful, so successful. You've made me the happiest mother in this village." "Thank you, Mama," Adana said, handing her an envelope so fat it looked pregnant. "This is for you. Buy whatever you need. Fix the house. Treat yourself." Mama opened the envelope, saw the stack of cash inside, and immediately started crying harder. "God bless you, my child. God bless you abundantly." As Adana walked through the village in her designer dress, her expensive shoes clicking on the dusty road like she was in a music video, she felt powerful. People respected her, admired her, envied her. This was success. This was living. This was everything. But late at night, when the makeup was off and the designer clothes were in the closet, and she was lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, a tiny voice would whisper, "Is this really worth it?" She would turn over, pull the covers over her head and ignore it. Because big girls don't listen to doubt. Big girls live. It started small. So small, Adana almost missed it. A headache, a little fever, nothing serious. Probably just stress, she told herself, popping 2 paracetamol tablets like they were candy. "I've been partying too much. I just need rest." But the fever didn't get the memo. It stayed. And then it invited its friends. Dizziness, body aches, weakness, and fatigue. Adana spent a whole week feeling like she'd been hit by a truck that reversed to make sure it finished the job. "It's just malaria," she said, dragging herself to the pharmacy. "Malaria loves me. We are practically best friends at this point." She bought anti-malarial drugs, the strong ones that came with instructions, that looked like a small novel. She took them religiously. Morning, afternoon, Night, but nothing changed. 1 week became 2, 2 became 3, 3 became 4. By week 4, Adana looked like a shadow of herself. Her skin was pale. Her eyes were sunken, like they'd moved to a basement apartment. She'd lost so much weight. Her clothes were having an identity crisis. Ngozi was worried. Actually worried. Not, I'm saying I'm worried, but I'm really just being polite. Worried. Real. Genuine. You look like Death's cousin. Worried Adana, Ngozi said one morning, standing at her bedroom door like a concerned parent. You need to go to the hospital. I'm fine, Adana mumbled from under the covers, which was a lie so obvious even the covers didn't believe it. You are not fine. Ngozi pulled the covers off like she was revealing a magic trick. You've been sick for a month. Anti-malarial is not working. You look like you're auditioning for a horror movie. We're going to the hospital. Now. The hospital smelled like antiseptic, regret, and other people's bad news. Adana sat in the waiting room, her hands shaking slightly. She hated hospitals. They always had that energy of, we're about to tell you something you don't want to hear. Miss Adana, a nurse with a tired face appeared. Doctor will see you now. The doctor was an older man with kind eyes and a face that had seen too many sad stories. He asked her questions, lots of them, about her symptoms, her lifestyle, her sexual history. That last question made Adana's stomach flip. How many sexual partners have you had in the last year? The doctor asked, his pen hovering over his notepad. Adana's brain quickly did the math and then decided that honesty was complicated. A few, she said vaguely. The doctor looked at her over his glasses. A few? Several. He sighed the sigh of a man who had heard this story before. Miss Adana, I need you to be honest with me. It's important for your treatment. Adana looked at her hands. More than one. More than one, the doctor repeated slowly. Okay, we are going to need to run some tests. Blood work, malaria, typhoid, HIV, hepatitis, the full panel. Adana's head snapped up. HIV? It's standard procedure for these symptoms, especially with multiple sexual partners. The doctor said gently, we need to rule out everything. Adana felt like someone had dropped ice cubes down her spine. Okay, she whispered. They took her blood. Adana watched the dark red liquid fill the vial and felt like she was watching her future drain away. Come back tomorrow for the results, the nurse said. Adana went home in a daze. She didn't sleep that night. Every time she closed her eyes, her brain played a horror movie called What If? The next day, her phone rang. Miss Adana, this is St. Michael's Hospital. Please come in. The doctor needs to see you. The way the receptionist said needs to see you made Adana's stomach drop to her feet, pick itself up, and drop again. She sat in the doctor's office. He was holding a paper. His face was serious, the kind of serious that comes before bad news. Miss Adana, he said softly, like he was talking to a scared child. I'm very sorry to inform you that your test results came back positive for HIV. The world stopped, not slowly, not dramatically, just stopped. Adana heard the words, but they sounded like they were coming from underwater. HIV positive, HIV positive. That's not possible, she stammered, her voice shaking like leaves in a storm. There must be a mistake. You mixed up my results with someone else's test me again. We ran the test twice, the doctor said gently. I'm very sorry. but the results are clear. You have HIV. Adana felt like she was falling, like the chair beneath her had disappeared, and she was plummeting through the floor, through the earth, into a black hole that had no bottom. How? Her voice was barely a whisper. How did this happen? The doctor leaned forward. HIV is transmitted in several ways. The most common is through unprotected sexual intercourse. Given your sexual history with multiple partners, Adana stopped listening. Her ears were ringing. Her vision was blurry. Her hands were shaking so hard, she had to sit on them. Multiple partners. Emeka, Chidi, Kunle, Tunde, Femi. 5 men. One of them gave her HIV. But which one? Miss Adana, the doctor continued, I need you to understand something very important. HIV is not a death sentence anymore. With proper medication, you can live a long, full life. But you need to start treatment immediately. And you need to inform your partners so they can get tested as well. Inform her partners, all 5 of them. Adana wanted to laugh, or cry, or scream. Maybe all 3 at once. Here, the doctor said, sliding a pamphlet across the desk. This has information about treatment options, support groups and resources. Please don't lose hope. Many people with HIV live healthy, normal lives, but Adana wasn't listening anymore. All she could hear was the word echoing in her head like a broken record. HIV, HIV. She stood up, or tried to. Her legs felt like jelly that had given up on life. She stumbled out of the office, through the hallway, out of the hospital, and then, standing in the hot Lagos sun, with people rushing past, and cars honking, and life continuing like nothing had happened, Adana collapsed onto the ground and wailed. She wailed so loud people stopped to stare. She wailed until her throat hurt. She wailed until she had no more sound left. Because in that moment, Adana realized something terrible. Her life, as she knew it, was over. Adana told Ngozi that evening. She walked into the apartment like a ghost, silent, hollow. Barely there, Ngozi was on the couch, scrolling through her phone, laughing at something on Instagram. Ngozi, Adana said. Her voice sounded flat, dead, like all the life had been squeezed out of it. Ngozi looked up. Her smile disappeared immediately. What's wrong? You look terrible. I went to the hospital today. And? Ngozi sat up straighter. Adana took a deep breath. They said I'm HIV positive. The phone slipped from Ngozi's hand and hit the floor with a loud crack. The screen probably shattered. Neither of them cared. What? I have HIV, Adana repeated. Her voice broke on the last word. I don't know how, I don't know who gave it to me, but I have it. For a long moment, Ngozi just stared, like she was waiting for Adana to say just kidding and laugh. But Adana wasn't laughing. Ngozi stood up slowly, very slowly, like Adana was a bomb that might explode if she moved too fast. Adana, Ngozi's voice was shaking. Are you sure? They tested me twice. Oh my God. Ngozi took a step back, then another, like she was trying to put distance between herself and her disease she could catch just by standing too close. Ngozi, please. Adana reached out her hand. I need you. Don't. Ngozi flinched like Adana's hand was made of fire. Don't touch me. Adana's hand dropped. Her heart shattered into a million pieces that immediately stepped on each other. Ngozi, I need to think. Ngozi said, backing toward her bedroom. Just stay on your side of the room tonight, okay? Don't, don't touch my things. She disappeared into the bedroom and closed the door. Adana stood there in the living room alone and felt the weight of her diagnosis crash down on her like a building. That night, she cried herself to sleep on the couch because Ngozi locked the bedroom door. The next few days were hell. Ngozi wouldn't touch anything Adana touched. If Adana used a plate, Ngozi washed it 3 times with hot water and soap before using it herself. And even then, she looked suspicious. If Adana sat on the couch, Ngozi sat on a chair across the room. If Adana used the bathroom, Ngozi would go in afterward with a bottle of bleach, like she was performing an exorcism. Adana saw everything, every flinch, every look of fear, every step backward, and each one cut deeper than any knife ever could. Finally, one morning, Ngozi sat her down. Adana, Ngozi said, not meeting her eyes. I've been thinking, and I don't think we can live together anymore. Adana's stomach dropped. What? Umobia looked exactly the same, but Adana felt like a completely different person. She arrived late at night and went straight to her mother's house. Mama was asleep. Adana didn't wake her. She just crept into her old room, lay on her old bed, and stared at the ceiling. How did I get here? For 7 days straight, Adana didn't leave that room. She cried. She slept. She stared at the walls. She replayed her entire life like a movie she couldn't turn off. Mama knocked every day. Adana, my daughter, are you okay? Please come out, eat something. But Adana couldn't eat, couldn't talk, couldn't do anything. All she could think about was her life, the choices she made, the men she slept with, the money she chased, the person she became. And one name kept circling her mind like a vulture. Pius. Pius. The good man, the honest man, the man who wanted to marry her, the man she rejected because his 300,000 naira salary couldn't cover her skincare. If only I had said yes, she thought. If only I had been content with enough. If only I hadn't been so greedy. But if only doesn't change anything. If only is just regrets dressed up in fancy words. Then, on the 7th day, something inside Adana snapped. Not snapped like finally healed. Snapped like broke in a very dangerous way. She sat up in bed, her eyes red and swollen, her hair a mess, her heart full of poison, and a dark thought crawled into her mind like a snake. Someone gave me this disease. She thought about her 5 boyfriends. One of them had infected her, ruined her life, destroyed her future. And they are probably out there right now, living their best lives, probably infecting other girls, probably not even knowing. The anger started as a spark. Then it grew into a flame. Then it became a raging wildfire that consumed every good thought she had left. If I have to suffer, she thought, her hands clenching into fists, then I won't suffer alone. I'll make sure of it. That evening, Adana got up. She showered. She put on one of her tight dresses, red, revealing, the kind that made men forget they had responsibilities. She did her makeup. She styled her hair. And then she walked out into the village like she was on a mission, because she was. The men noticed immediately. Adana. One of them called out, Obina, a farmer with hands rough from years of hard work. You're back and looking as fine as ever. Adana smiled, a sweet smile, a dangerous smile. Thank you, Obina. We missed you. Where have you been? Oh, she said, tilting her head flirtatiously. Just around. But I'm here now. Obina's eyes roamed over her body like he was reading a menu. You look really good. Different. Do I? She stepped closer. Maybe we should catch up. Properly. Catch up? Obina swallowed hard. Yes. She leaned in and whispered, come to my house tonight. Obina nearly tripped over his own feet. Tonight? Tonight. She winked and walked away, her hips swaying like a pendulum of doom. That night, Obina came to her house. They talked. They laughed. He brought her a gift, some yams from his farm. And then Adana invited him to her room. What happened next? Well, let's just say Obina left that night smiling, satisfied, completely unaware that he'd just been handed a death sentence wrapped in pretty packaging. When he was gone, Adana sat on her bed and whispered to herself. One down. The next day, another man came, Chike, a mechanic who thought he was God's gift to women. Then Emeka Jr., not related to Lagos Emeka, just had the same name and the same lack of sense. Then Uzoma, then Ifeanyi, young men, old men, married men, single men. They came with gifts, money, sweet words, promises they had no intention of keeping. And Adana, she welcomed them all with open arms and a closed heart. She didn't play hard to get. She didn't hesitate. She smiled, invited them in, and gave them exactly what they wanted. Because she knew what she was giving them, the national cake, she thought bitterly every time. Everyone gets a slice. One afternoon, she was at the stream fetching water. She wore a short skirt that was practically having a fight with decency, and losing her top was so low cut, it was basically just a suggestion. An old man approached her, Dibia Okoye, the village native doctor, ancient, grey beard down to his chest, eyes that looked like they'd seen 3 different centuries. Even he wasn't immune. Adana, he said, his voice rough like gravel. You've become a very beautiful woman. She smiled sweetly. Thank you, Dibia. His eyes traveled over her body in a way that would make his ancestors cover their faces. Would you like to visit my shrine tonight? I have something special to show you. Even the native doctor Adana thought, they're all the same. I would love that, she said, her voice dripping with honey and poison. That night, even Dibia Okoye, the man who spoke to ancestors and performed spiritual rituals, got his share of the national cake. By the end of the 3rd month, Adana had been with over 100 men. 100 men. Men from Umobia, men from neighboring villages, men who came from the city to visit their aging parents and heard about the beautiful girl who's so easy. It's like she's running a special promotion. Men with arthritis who could barely walk but somehow found the strength to hobble to her door. Men with rheumatism who needed canes but threw them aside when they saw her. The women in the village hated her. Husband snatcher, they hissed when she walked past. Home wrecker, ashawo, prostitute. You will not prosper. But Adana didn't care. She was deaf to their insults, blind to their anger. She was on a mission. Every night after the men left, she would sit on her bed, stare at the wall and whisper, they've all had their fair share now. The national cake has been distributed equally. Everyone got what they deserved. And then she would burst into tears, deep, gut-wrenching sobs that shook her entire body. Because deep down, underneath all the anger and bitterness and revenge, she knew the truth. She wasn't punishing them. She was destroying herself. 3 months after returning to the village, Adana was lying in bed, scrolling mindlessly through Instagram. She wasn't really looking at anything, just swiping. Memes, videos of people dancing, photos of food, the digital equivalent of staring into space. Then a notification popped up, email from St. Michael's Hospital. Her heart stopped. She stared at the notification like it might disappear if she didn't touch it. Why are they emailing me? Her finger hovered over it. Part of her wanted to delete it without reading, but a bigger part, the part that still had a tiny spark of hope, buried under all the ashes, made her tap it. The email loaded, and Adana's entire world exploded. Subject: urgent. Critical error in test results. Dear Miss Adana, we have been attempting to contact you for several weeks via phone, but your line has been unreachable. We are writing to inform you of a serious laboratory error that occurred 3 months ago involving your test results. Due to an unfortunate mix-up with another patient who shares your first name, your HIV test results were incorrectly reported. After conducting a thorough internal review and retesting your original samples, we can now confirm with absolute certainty that you are HIV negative. You do not have HIV. You never had HIV. The positive result you received was due to a clerical error in our laboratory. We cannot express how deeply sorry we are for this mistake and for any distress it has caused you. Please contact us immediately so we can provide you with proper documentation and any support you may need. Once again, we sincerely and profusely apologize. Sincerely, Dr. Emeka Nwosu, Chief Medical Officer, St. Michael's Hospital, Lagos. Adana's phone slipped from her hands. It hit the floor with a loud crack. The screen probably shattered. She didn't notice. For a moment, she couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Then, from somewhere deep in her chest, from a place so dark and painful she didn't know it existed, came a sound, a scream, not a regular scream. A scream so loud, so raw, so full of pure agony that it didn't even sound human. Nay! It echoed through the house, through the village. Birds scattered from trees. Dogs started barking. Neighbors woke up thinking someone was being murdered. Mama burst into the room, her wrapper half tied, her eyes wide with panic. Adana, what happened? What's wrong? But Adana couldn't answer. She was shaking, trembling so hard, her teeth were chattering. Her whole body felt like it was tearing apart from the inside. HIV negative. I never had it. I was never sick. I never had it. All those men, over 100 men. She'd slept with over 100 men, thinking she was infecting them with HIV, thinking she was spreading a disease she never even had. Adana, talk to me. Mama was shaking her shoulders, but Adana couldn't talk. She couldn't do anything except scream and cry and feel like her soul was being ripped into a million pieces. She grabbed her bag with shaking hands, threw random clothes inside. Her movements were frantic, chaotic, like someone running from a fire. Where are you going? Mama cried. Adana, please, tell me what's wrong. But Adana was already out the door, running down the dark road like demons were chasing her. Because they were. The demons of regret, guilt, and horror. She caught the first bus to Lagos. Didn't even wait for the sun to come up. The entire ride, she sat frozen, staring out the window, her mind playing the same scene over and over. 100 men. I slept with 100 men for nothing, for nothing. When she got to Lagos, she went straight to the hospital, burst through the doors like she was storming a fortress. "I need to see Dr. Nosu," she said to the receptionist. Her voice was shaking. "Now!" The receptionist blinked. "Do you have an—" "I don't care about an appointment." Adana slammed her hands on the desk. "I need to see him right now, or I will tear this hospital apart with my bare hands." Something in Adana's eyes, wild, desperate, dangerous, made the receptionist pick up the phone immediately. 10 minutes later, Adana was sitting in Dr. Nwosu's office. The doctor looked uncomfortable, guilty, like he was about to face a firing squad. "Miss Adana," he began, "I cannot begin to express—" "Test me again," Adana interrupted. Her voice was flat, dead. "I'm sorry." "Test me again." "Miss Adana, we've already confirmed through multiple—" "I don't care what you've confirmed." Her voice was rising. "I need you to test me again right now. Today, I need to see it with my own eyes." Dr. Nosu nodded slowly. "Of course, we'll run a full panel immediately." They drew her blood again. Adana sat in the waiting room, her leg bouncing uncontrollably, her hands clenched so tight her nails were digging into her palms. 1 hour felt like 10 years. Finally, the nurse called her back. Dr. Nosu was holding a paper. He looked relieved but also concerned. "Miss Adana," he said gently, "the results are clear. You are HIV negative. There is absolutely no trace of the virus in your system. You do not have HIV. You never had HIV." Adana should have felt joy, relief, happiness, but all she felt was more horror. Because if she didn't have HIV, then all those men, all 100 plus men, she hadn't infected them with HIV. She just slept with them for nothing, for revenge against a disease she never had. "Miss Adana," Dr. Nwosu was looking at her with concern. "Are you all right?" She wasn't all right. She would never be all right again. Over the next 2 days, Adana went to 3 more hospitals. She needed to be sure, absolutely, completely, 100% sure. Every single hospital said the same thing: HIV negative. But at the 3rd hospital, a different doctor called her into his office. His face was serious. "Miss Adana, while you are HIV negative, we did find other issues in your bloodstream." Adana's blood ran cold. "Other issues?" The doctor sighed. "You have multiple sexually transmitted infections. Staphylococcus aureus, gonorrhea, syphilis." He paused. "And hepatitis B." The room spun. "Hepatitis B is a very serious viral infection," the doctor continued. "In many ways, it's actually more dangerous than HIV. It attacks the liver and can lead to cirrhosis, liver failure, even liver cancer. And unfortunately," he looked at her with sad eyes, "there is no cure. We can only provide palliative treatment to manage your symptoms and extend your life for as long as possible." Adana couldn't breathe. "This is almost certainly the result of having multiple unprotected sexual encounters," the doctor said gently. "I strongly advise you to check into a treatment facility immediately so we can assess the full extent of the damage and start you on a treatment plan." Adana got a second opinion, then a third, then a fourth. They all said the same thing: staphylococcus, gonorrhea, syphilis, hepatitis B. The irony was so cruel. It almost seemed like a joke the universe was playing. She thought she had HIV. She thought she was spreading HIV. She slept with over 100 men, thinking she was infecting them with HIV. But instead, she caught something worse, multiple things that were worse, And now she was actually sick, actually dying, actually infected, all because she wanted revenge for a disease she never had. Adana returned to Umobia 2 weeks later. She moved like a ghost, pale, thin, hollow, like all the life had been drained out of her and replaced with regret. She went straight to her room and didn't come out. But the visitors started coming anyway. Bang, bang, bang. Adana, open this door. It was Obina, the farmer, but he wasn't smiling anymore. His face was twisted with rage. "You gave me gonorrhea," he shouted, loud enough for half the village to hear. "You wicked girl! You infected me. My wife left me because of you. How could you do this?" Adana sat inside, silent, listening to every word, like they were nails being hammered into her coffin. Bang, bang, bang. "Adana, come out here." Another man, Chike the mechanic. His voice was shaking with anger. "I have staff because of you. I've been sick for weeks. You're a disease carrier, a demon." Bang, bang, bang. More men, more anger, more accusations. "You destroyed my marriage. I can't work because I'm so sick. You're evil, a home wrecker, a witch." Every day men came to her door, some yelling, some crying, some just standing there silent, staring at the door like they were trying to burn it down with their eyes. The women of the village stood nearby, arms crossed, faces hard with satisfaction. "Serves her right," they muttered. "We told her. Didn't we tell her? Husband snatcher. Now look at her. Karma is real. She's getting exactly what she deserves." Adana sat inside her room, listening to it all, feeling nothing, because she was already in hell, a hell she built herself, brick by brick, man by man, choice by choice. One morning, before the sun had even thought about waking up, Adana packed a small bag. She moved quietly like a thief in her own house. She left a note for her mother on the kitchen table. "Mama, I'm sorry for everything. I love you, Adana." And then she slipped out the door and walked down the dark, dusty road. A few early risers saw her. Farmers heading to their fields, women going to fetch water. "Where is she going?" one of them muttered. A woman sneered. "Who cares? Maybe she's going to spread her diseases somewhere else. Good riddance." Adana kept walking, her head down, her heart heavy. She didn't know where she was going, didn't know what she would do. All she knew was that she couldn't stay in Umobia anymore, couldn't face the men she'd hurt, the women she'd wronged, the life she'd destroyed. So she walked and walked and walked. Weeks later, Adana ended up in Abuja, far from Lagos, far from Umobia, far from everything. She found a small clinic that specialized in treating STDs and chronic illnesses. The doctors there didn't judge, didn't ask too many questions. They just helped. "We'll start you on treatment for the hepatitis B," the head doctor said kindly. "It won't cure it. There is no cure, but it will slow the progression. You can still live a meaningful life, Miss Adana. But you have to take care of yourself. You have to take your medication. You have to come to your appointments." Adana nodded. She started taking the pills, attended support groups where other people with similar stories sat in a circle and shared their pain. She talked to counselors who tried to help her forgive herself. It was slow, painful, like trying to heal a wound that kept reopening. But slowly, very, very slowly, she began to piece herself back together. Not physically. The hepatitis B would never go away. Her liver was damaged. Her body was permanently marked by her choices. But emotionally, mentally, spiritually, she started to heal. One evening, sitting alone in her tiny apartment, Adana found her old journal, the one she used to write in when she was just a village girl, with simple dreams. She flipped through the pages. Dreams about going to university, goals about helping her mother, innocent thoughts about falling in love one day. Then she picked up a pen and wrote, "I thought happiness was money. I thought success was being a big girl. I thought contentment was for people with no ambition. I was wrong about everything. I chased glamour and lost myself. I chased revenge and destroyed everyone, including myself. I thought I was punishing the men who hurt me, but they didn't hurt me. I hurt myself. I hurt over 100 people because I thought I was infected with a disease I never had. The irony, in trying to spread HIV, I caught something worse. If I could go back, I would choose differently. I would choose pious. I would choose peace. I would choose enough. But I can't go back. The road only goes forward. All I can do now is live with the consequences. Take my medication. Go to my appointments. Try to be a better person than I was. And hope, pray, that somehow, somewhere, I can find redemption, not because I deserve it, but because maybe, just maybe, mercy exists even for people like me." Adana closed the journal and wiped her eyes. Outside, the sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold. She didn't know what tomorrow would bring. She didn't know if she'd live 5 more years or 20. But for the first time in a long time, she wasn't running anymore. She was just living. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough. Thank you for watching this story, besties. What do you think about this story? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And until I bring another intriguing story your way again, bye for now.